Hello, I'm Christopher Bayliss from Fast Growth Online. Thank you for downloading this workbook entitled Keep Your Fast Growth on Track Through Effective Indicators. Today I'm joined by Tim Bentle of Tim Bentle LLP. Tim, thank you very much for giving up your precious time to be with us today on this very important topic of key performance indicators. Before we start, can you just share with us what you do at Tim Bentle LLP?
Yes, we specialise in advising owner-managed businesses with a particular focus on professional service firms.
Mm-hmm. And prior to that?
Prior to that, I was a partner and indeed for 10 years managing partner at a national firm of chartered accountants, advising owner-managed businesses. Had a large portfolio of very diverse businesses, including particularly professional firms.
Mm-hmm. Of which key performance indicators is probably very important.
Absolutely, very much at the heart of successful businesses.
Today, the structure of this video interview is in two parts. One, we're going to look at the context of why key performance indicators, effective indicators, are so important to any business. And then secondly, we're going to look at the workbook and share with our viewers a couple of tips. Is that okay? You've got a lot of experience of working with small to medium-sized businesses that are growing and surviving during some difficult times and some better times. You also have knowledge of some bigger companies and some household names. Which industry do you think is key performance indicators very important to?
I would say particularly in the retail sector, where having information at your fingertips very, very quickly is fundamental to their business. So, for example, on a Monday morning, knowing what's happened with the weekend's trading.
So companies where they would be very good at this would be companies like?
I would say someone like Marks and Spencer.
Yeah.
Which has quite a diverse business, clothing business, food business, and is also a seasonal business. They need to adjust to the seasons in terms of fashion on the clothing side, and also on the food side, what's fresh. So that's very important to be able to not only know what's happened, but what's coming up.
Thanks, Tim. To put the thing in context, Tim and I were thinking about an example of somebody who needs really good indicators. And he's brought along a little model Ferrari car, a red one, beautiful thing. Can you see it there? I'm not sure it's a right-hand drive or a left-hand drive, but I'll be the driver. So it's a right-hand drive car, okay? And I'm hurtling along the road in England at too fast. Okay. So I certainly need to be looking ahead, don't I? Those are forward indicators. And what sort of things might I be looking for in terms of forward indicators through the windscreen?
I think what's in your pipeline, what's coming up in terms of, if we relate it back to Marks and Spencer, I think it's anticipating when to change the mix of your stock or their stock. So things which are giving you an indication about what the business is likely to achieve, or what the obstacles are that are coming towards you.
And this driver, of course, the forward indicators would be if he's driving on the motorway, there's a gap in the road, I can then get past, etc. So very important. What sort of things for this driver might he be concentrating on inside his cockpit, inside his car?
I think he would be looking at the dashboard, particularly in a performance car like that, the rev counter probably. I think also the temperature, temperature of the car, the oil pressure probably. A sophisticated car like that will have a number of other dials that are in front of him across the dashboard. Probably too many to look at, so as a driver you would concentrate on the key ones, which are probably some of the ones I've just mentioned.
Now, does this car have a mirror Does he ever use it? I don't know, but most cars do.
Internally, I think it'll be a mirror. It's probably a bit too streamlined to have external mirrors.
And what sort of things might he be looking out this way in his mirror?
I think what's behind him, obviously, in terms of whether anybody's chasing him, perhaps. The police siren, perhaps. Things that have flashed past. I think it would be very difficult to drive a car, certainly a car like any car, but a car like that particularly, just looking at the dashboard and looking at the mirror.
Okay, it's a combination of forward things, current things from the dashboard, and looking back. I was watching the Grand Prix yesterday from Hungary, and of course, even if you're leading, you've got to watch who's just about to gain and overtake you.
Yes, indeed.
Complex thing. And if it was an aircraft, you've not only got this to take care of, you've got to think about your altitude and all those things. Amazing. So this workbook is to equip you, like this driver of this Ferrari, to be able to anticipate the future, manage the present, and also keep an eye on the past. Okay. So Tim, can I ask you to read, please, the title and the purpose of this workbook, please?
The Fast Growth Workbook for you to keep your fast growth on track through effective indicators. The purpose of the workbook is to assist you to decide your 10 key performance indicators, KPIs, that will keep your business performance and growth on track. The goal is that within 12 months, through your KPIs, you substantially increase the profitability of your company.
Super, thank you. 10 KPIs. Not one, but not 101, 10. That seems to be the optimum. And again, the right balance of financial, strategic, and other factors. Okay, so some of these workbooks start with what's the strategic problem. Can I ask you, Tim, to read the top of that page for our viewers so that they're encouraged to do this for themselves?
As business leaders, some of us just don't have the right information and controls we need to make informed, timely decisions. As a result, either our company performance is badly affected by business problems we haven't spotted, or we miss out on golden opportunities for business growth. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 is outstanding and 1 is barely adequate, how do you rate the quality of information and controls you have to keep your business performance and growth on track? Please put your score in the box below.
And I'd like you to be objective about your business, but also not look at it through rose-coloured glasses in terms of the information you've got. Score yourself, and then what are your strategic conclusions? Very important as a business leader to do that. Okay. And when you've done this particular workbook, come back to it again and rate them again. Okay. So, if you turn to page 2, Tim, can you just read it for the benefit from your page of there?
Yes, identify your 5 critical strategic key performance indicators. So this page is just about the strategic ones. On the left-hand column, your strategic priorities for the next 12 months. And then on the right-hand column, your strategic KPIs, i.e. how you will monitor your progress for each of those that you identify.
I cannot stress that too much, because many people have lots of KPIs, but they're mainly financial, and worse still, they tend to be looking backwards.
But that's because they're the easiest ones to do, Chris, typically, I think.
Thanks for that. So, for point number 1, hint number 1, choose at least a couple of strategic ones to start with. There's other sections of this workbook on more financial and operational KPIs. The exciting thing is, when you've looked at some of the lists we've given you and generate your own, is identify maybe 8 to 10 that you think will be crucial, and write each one on a post-it, starting with a doing verb. I don't have shares in 3Ms, I wish I did, but as most of these workbooks you need small post-its, and that would be good. So I'd like to talk the third hint is page 4A and 4B. It's perhaps the most important of all the pages in the workbook, in the sense that many people have KPIs, and there was one that you and I know of, a small company in Salisbury in UK, had the KPIs, graphed them, lots of graphs going on, from, this is time along here, and those sort of things were going down, and other things were going up, usual things. So this might have been sales going up, profits going up, and this coming down. But as you can see there, it was a total mess. Very difficult to see what was happening. So what they did, and that's that company, an electronics company, ML Electronics, what they did was to take the ones they wanted going up and put them on one sheet of graph paper, and the ones they wanted going down on a separate sheet of paper. And just that one action made it a lot clearer what was going on. So you've identified your 10, and then on page 4A and 4B, decide which ones are looking back and that you want it to be increasing or decreasing. So the ones you want increasing, looking back, would be there and there. The ones that are present ones, like the ones from the car dashboard, the ones you want decreasing and decreasing. And then most importantly, the ones you want going forward, your future, increasing and decreasing. Very simple, but highly effective. Tim, and you've seen this, I think, with some SMEs, when they do this, where are most of their KPIs positioned? Here, here, or backwards?
Mostly it's backwards.
And where do you find very few?
Very few looking forwards. Some present ones, current ones.
Okay, get the balance between all three. The obvious ones looking back are things like profit, but profit from 2 months ago, not really very effective in terms of control.
Some data that's historic can be useful for plotting trends, but as I said a moment ago, it's most businesses can produce information as to what's happened in the past, but that's not the complete picture.
Definitely. You kindly lent me your Ferrari. Another analogy, most of us have got boats, and fast boats, sailing boats, whatever. This is a little birthday present that was given to me recently on the 26th of June. It's got a lovely little steering wheel. So you're chugging across the lake or the sea. You need to know where you're going, whether you've got enough fuel, where you're coming from, looking out for big ships, etc. And if the KPIs suddenly look as if you're going out of control, it's great if you've got something to alarm you.
That's a very good analogy, actually, because in looking back, you could on a lake in a boat, if you look behind you, you can sometimes see a big storm cloud coming, which can actually affect what happens in the future.
Definitely. For some of these workbooks, I recommend people do some further reading. For this one, I would strongly recommend or highly recommend this book here. It's entitled CEO Tools. That's Chief Executive Officer Tools, American book. Can you read that where my thumb is?
The Nuts and Bolts of Business for Every Manager's Success.
And it's by an entrepreneurial business leader called Craig Kramers. And there's some excellent little chapters in there, very practical, very pithy, including chapter 3. Can you read that one, Tim?
Now track what's meaningful. Top 10 business tracking tools. What gets measured gets done. So
this KPIs, Key Performance Indicators, tracking tools, is so important that this guy, Craig Kramers, make it chapter 3, a whole chapter devoted to it. Hugely important. Recommend it to you. You can download it get it from Amazon. So Tim, just to sum up, of all the workbooks, the 50 workbooks, I believe this is probably fundamental. It's the one that's often neglected. Many of us have got lots of data, information piles and piles of information, but we're not really controlling our business.
I think that's a very good distinction, actually. It's something I use with my clients, Christopher, I find quite useful, and that is the difference between data and information. Data is just a collection of usually numbers. I'm an accountant, and typically in spreadsheets. Information is something that's useful, something that you can actually use to affect the business, to control the business. And I think this is why this subject is so important, because it's about information and controls.
Tim, may I wish you every success with the growth and control of your business, and thank you again for your time.